Habits is a key point in my life. 2025 for me has been about discipline, and it's been about building the correct habits. Habits can be positive and habits can have a massive negative effect. I've finished reading the book Atomic Habits, which has had a huge impact on what I'm doing. I wanted to share with you guys some of the things that I think you should be doing to build success in a sales environment and in the real estate industry. If you don't have habits and structures in place, you are going to fail. I went throughout my whole life being naturally quite good at things and getting to a point where I got okay and then I stopped because there was no structure. I've always been able to get to sort of where I wanted to get to, but not build consistency because there was no habits, there was no structure in place. So I was purely driven on motivation. Anyone coming into the industry is super money motivated. They're coming for one thing, pound note, which is fine. But having that end goal in play doesn't necessarily mean you're going to achieve. If you stand and look at a scoreboard on a football pitch for the next 90 minutes, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win, right? You've got to go out and build the activity to do what you need to do to win. It's no different to being in a sales environment. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is some of the things that I've put into my life to build structure, which has then evolved into success, money, and being motivated by money. This is something that we see from every single person coming into the industry. They're driven by a certain figure. That figure is achievable and it will be achieved, but it will be achieved for structure and discipline. It won't be achieved for motivation. Structure and discipline trump motivation every single day of the week. I cruise through my life, reasonable success, being naturally quite good at whatever I put my mind to, but never being great. The reason being is I never had structure. So I would naturally do things, get to a certain point, and then fall off. I was never consistent. And over the last 12 months, I have built immense consistency in everything I'm doing through building structure in my life. Not rocket science. So the law of averages says you have to be successful. If you do X amount every single day, you will. Things that I've put into my life. I went through a massive weight loss journey last year and did it through structure. Now, use that into everything I do. Let's start off with bedtime. As silly as that sounds, I have an even and structured routine, okay? I get in and eat at the same time every single day. I eat dinner at the same time in order to give me enough time to digest and then get into bed. I have an alarm that goes off on my phone at 9:15 every single night that tells me to get into bed for 9:30. I make sure that I'm in that and I build consistency. I need accountability. I would suggest every single person watching this video takes accountability for the next action they're going to put into their life. I have accountability by wearing a Whoop. The Whoop then tells me what time I've gone to bed, what time I've woken up, how consistent my sleep was, and I can then look what I can do to improve. I live my life by the saying discipline equals consistency, and when you're consistent, you build growth. So first of all, the first key point is nighttime routine. Making sure that you become consistent every single night. When you get into bed, try and read 4 or 5 pages. Any book, anything. I'm a mood person. I can't read business books over and over and over. I can't just listen to business podcasts and over and over, because if I'm in the mood to listen to some music, I will. If I'm in the mood to listen to an audible book, I will. Listen to what your body's saying, listen to your mind, but make sure that you incorporate it. So if you're going to go in and read a couple of pages each night, you will find you sleep better and you start to absorb positivity. You'll start to absorb things that you can then take into the next day and plan. First thing, nighttime routine. Second thing, morning routine. As silly as it sounds, you get up and make your bed. Making your bed isn't going to change your life, but it's going to hold you accountable. I get up every morning and do the same thing every morning. I get up 5 a.m., get into an ice bath, 5:15. By 5:30, I've finished. I've done 10 minutes of meditation, then go to the gym. I do 20 minutes of cardio and normally 40 to 60 minutes of a weight session. That happens 5 days a week as a minimum. And then I take rest days. By the time I get in, gives me enough time to make breakfast, do what I need to do with my family, and then get into the office nice and early. I'm never rushing. I'm not late. I'm not running around. If there's traffic, it's not a problem. That for me sets me up very nicely for the day. If you're going in a rush, panicking, not done your hair, not put a tie on, whatever it is, you're already in a bad frame of mind to take on that day. Our industry is not rocket science, but it is going to take it out of you. You have to be at the peak every single day to perform. My routine is one that I've developed and I have chosen that works for me. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be up at 5 a.m. getting into a nice bath or doing these things, right? But what you want to do is develop a routine that you can then add and build onto if you want, but it builds consistency. If you're going to get up at 6 a.m. every morning, get up at 6. If you're going to go for a 15-minute walk, make sure you do that. The most important part is those days that we don't want to get up. Those days that you're laying in bed thinking, today's not the day, I'll just give it a miss. Get up. That is when it counts. When you're feeling fresh and you've done it 7 days in a row, that's easy. It's when you're not feeling great. That's when it counts. And that's when it counts in our industry. When you're not feeling good, but you need to make 50 calls. I'll give it a miss today. You do it once, you do it twice, you build a bad habit. But dropping down to your standards to say, I will not leave without making those 50 calls. I will not leave without making sure that I've got that new listing. Once you get that new listing, you'll uphold a standard that you will never fail. Moving on from morning routine, evening routine, morning routine, now office KPIs. If your company has set you KPIs, look at them and make sure that you hit every single one of them. If they haven't, set your own KPIs. How many calls do you need to make? How many listings are you going to take on? How many buyers do you need to find? How many projects do you need to learn? Build these KPIs into your daily routine. What I would suggest is throughout the day, don't just sit on the phone all day. Build an hour in, have a break. Build an hour of calling for sellers. Build an hour for calling for a meeting. Build an hour of, so you're actually having breaks to build consistency. It's very difficult to do 4 hours of something in a row without becoming tired and without becoming negative. The habit associated with this is time management. Being very, very strict with your time management. If you're say 9 till 10 is calling for sellers, that is every morning 9 till 10. If you say 11 till 1 is viewing, make sure that all of your viewings, as much as they can be put into that time frame. What I do at the end of each week as well, we have daily standards, where it's your night, your evening routine, your morning routine. You've got your standards of your daytime standards, and then you've got weekly standards. I ask myself every single Friday I get in, did I give it 100% this week? Is there anything I could have done? Is there things? So on a Sunday night, I plan for the week, and on a Friday evening, I will sit down and look at what I planned for and what was achieved. And if I didn't achieve it, I ask myself, why didn't I achieve it? If it was out of my control, fine. If it was in my control and I didn't do it because I chose not to, why did I not do that? And how am I going to make sure that that doesn't happen again next week? That is questions you have to ask yourself. You have to be brutally honest. You don't have to tell anyone, but you have to look at yourself and work out what it is you're going to do to ensure that you hit everything. Write them down on a Sunday, plan for the week, and ensure you hit them by Friday. The last habit is spending. And what I mean by spending is spending energy. Where is your energy spent most? The first 6 months, everything will look like an opportunity. You have to understand where your return is going to be. Spending the energy on what needs to be done to achieve the task is so, so important. That comes into time management. So, like I said, on a Sunday, start to prep your diary. What am I going to achieve? There's 10 things I'm going to achieve this week. I'm going to spend energy doing that. I'm not going to worry about what he's doing, what she's doing. Whatever else there is, the company's this, doesn't matter. My energy is going to be spent by delivering on the things that I wrote on a piece of paper. Because by Friday, I need to have achieved every single thing on that paper. All of the things that I've spoken about today is things that I do. This is things that I've taken in from someone that wasn't structured, that lived day by day, to building immense structure, which has then led to performance and growth. This is exactly what I do. Everything we discussed today is what I look at doing, and is what I've done in order for me to perform at my peak performance. What I suggest, you look through what you're doing, and we look at how we can build that consistent habit, how we can build more consistency. Look at your evening routine, look at your morning routine, look at your daily habits, look at your KPIs and your structures. Look at really what you're actually doing on a consistent basis. And if you're not, be honest with yourself and put these things in place. This is for any broker in the market. If you're just landed and you want to avoid that initial few months of zeros, of blanks, of stabbing in the dark, this is for you. This is also for anyone at the point in their career where they're making money and you want to get to that next level. You want to get to that next step and you're naturally good, you want to become great.